Aloha and welcome to Wind in Her Hair. Guaranteed no BS, real breakthroughs, raw truths on mindset, love, sex, purpose, and so much more. This is about getting wind in your hair, getting unstuck, being free, and stepping fully into who you were meant to be, starting right now. Aloha and welcome to Wind in Your Hair. This episode is all about personal growth. So if you're new to personal growth or self-development, then this podcast episode is perfect for you because it is just the nuts and bolts. Personal growth 101. It's what I needed 10 years ago when I first started out on my journey. So we're going to dive into this right now. I'm going to include a beautiful PDF in the show notes for anyone who wants to geek out on this and take it a level deeper. So we're going to start here. If you're starting out on your journey and you want to level up, and you want to stop attracting bench warmers, maybe you're being a little bench warmer-ish yourself, and I'm talking about not being the best version of yourself, then this is where you start, right here, with the relationship with yourself. And I didn't know this back then. I didn't realize I had it all backwards. I thought that I needed to put everyone else first so I wouldn't be selfish. That is wrong, especially you parents out there who think that they are just mothers or just dads, and you have to just ignore yourself and silence yourself, and you just don't exist anymore or belong because you have to cater to everybody else in the family. That's not true. You're not just a mom. You're not just a dad. You have a bigger calling and purpose in your life also than being just a mom or a dad. And I'm a parent of 3. So being a parent is literally the hardest job in the world. So I'm not discounting that at all. In a nutshell, what is personal development? It is becoming the healthiest, best, most aligned version of yourself. And you do this by living on purpose intentionally every day, not once a week, every day being intentional about carving out time. I know you make time for what's important. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. So there's no excuse to not having time for personal growth. Even if you're driving to work and you listen to a motivational podcast about finances or working out or rewiring your mindset, you can find the time while you're cooking, while you're working out. There's time for what's important to you. So you intentionally, on a daily basis, let go of the things that hold you back. And I love this. One of my mentors told me that it's not so much working to get better. Really, essentially, you're letting go of shit. You're letting go of all the pain, all the heartache, all the loss, all the grief. People hold on to that stuff, and that is what sets you back for decades, years, because you don't let go of unforgiveness and shame and guilt and pain. Think about it. How different would your life be right now? How much better would your life be right now if you let go of that thing that you've been holding on to for way too freaking long? So we're letting go of what holds you back. You're going to build new habits in your life, like a morning routine. I have a killer morning routine that changed my life. Working out, eating better, and spiritually, maybe start praying if you're not, and having better relationships, setting boundaries. A lot of people don't know what it means to set a boundary. They don't even know how to set a boundary. And that was me, so no judgment. Healing old wounds and breaking the patterns, the loops that you keep going on replay. And also things like raising your standards, understanding what your values are. Do you know what your values are in relationships? Do you know what you value, what you don't value? Do you know what your non-negotiables are? The things or the behaviors, the habits that you will tolerate and the ones that you won't tolerate. Consistently choosing actions that match the person you want to be. So ask yourself this: is this behavior, is this action going to help me be the person I want to be, or is it going to take away from it? Is it going to serve me, or is it not going to serve me? For example, me drinking alcohol. I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic at all, but I drank for the wrong reasons and I stopped. And I don't know how long I'm going to stop for, to be completely straight up with you, but I was not enjoying alcohol. It wasn't serving me. It was distracting me. It was making me less productive. And I knew if I stopped, my life would level up 50% overnight. So when I figured out why I was drinking and I healed that piece of me, which was guilt, I was able to stop drinking and I don't miss it. So I don't know if I'll ever have a glass of wine again, but that's not important. The important thing is now I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And my life, just literally since I stopped drinking last month, has leveled up. So many blessings have come. I've been so much more productive, so much more focused. Maybe it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me. And so I went with it. And I kept asking myself, is this serving me? If it's not serving me, then why am I holding on to it? I had to put it in the trash. And the important thing to understand is if you skip this step of healing the relationship to self, every other personal growth attempt you make with the other parts of your life will ultimately fail. Because you can't love others well if you don't love yourself, right? And you can't serve others well if you can't serve yourself, if you can't even make time for yourself and self-care and self-love. And we're going to talk about that. Self-care is not selfish, and it doesn't mean just eating chocolates and watching Netflix. That's not what self-care is. It goes deeper than that. And so I'm looking at my notes right now because your time is valuable and I want to stay on track and I want to give you the most juiciest, most valuable nuggets for you to tuck into your tool belt and carry you through the week. So every week, I want to see you back here on Tuesday, and I want to help you level up your life a little bit, even if it's 1% every week. 1%. For a second, I was like, where am I looking at the camera? To be honest with you, it's like, so you can make a vision board if you want. I have a vision board. I've actually created my own personalized custom planner. I have my own kick-ass morning routine, but those are bonuses. It's healing in here, and we're going to get into that, right? All the things. And don't worry, I'm going to explain to you the 6 ways to start doing this and a full list of habits and mindsets that fuel your growth. And I'm telling you right now, personal growth is not really hard, except for you committing to it and saying, do I really want this? Do I really want to grow and level up? Do I really want to become a better version of myself? Or do I like being complacent and unmotivated and just existing and drifting without a purpose, without a plan, without vision? I say this all the time now, for without vision, people perish. So why is this step number 1? Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for everything else. And if you cannot trust yourself, respect yourself, keep your own promises to yourself, if you cannot honor yourself, how are you going to do that to other people? And a lot of people think that self-love is obsession and selfish. It's not. We've got to put these toxic mindsets in the trash because they're not serving us. It's self-respect. I would sabotage my relationships because, quick little side story, I go into this in detail in the spiritual episode, which is right before this, about how the church I was going to at the time had me get up on stage and repent for having a baby out of wedlock because the pastor thought that he was doing what was best for his congregation. He needed to let them know that I wasn't, still being a whore, still sleeping around. I slept with one guy and ended up getting pregnant after whatever. And so that planted a seed in my head of feeling cheap and unworthy. And because I felt so shitty about myself, I attracted shitty people who treated me shitty. So it's this whole merry-go-round of toxicity. I wasn't healed, sabotaged every other relationship I had in all the ways of my life, including the life of my child in a way. Like, obviously, you're a first-time parent. You don't do it well. But when you take on this feeling of guilt and unworthiness and feeling cheap, you affect your children indirectly, whether you want to or not, whether you try to or not. So let's get into the basics. We're going to talk about what a healthy relationship to self looks like. Number 1, and this has been coming up lately, it's how you talk to yourself. I would tell myself I'm bad at remembering names. I have a terrible sense of direction. If I said something dumb, I would kick myself for days. And I'd be like, Anna, you're such an idiot. Why do you say that? Why did you do that? And I would ruminate over it for days. And I would get down on myself for being impulsive or for doing something embarrassing. And I would tell myself that I was stupid. Stop. Number 2, you trust yourself because you follow through on your word. Now, here's something. If you want to build self-confidence in your life, and self-confidence is not something you're born with, it's something that you cultivate and you build. It's like a muscle. Keep the promises to yourself. So if you say you're going to work out, go work out and stop making excuses. If you say you're not going to eat X, Y, and Z, then don't eat it. Figure out a substitution, an alternative, and don't give yourself the easy way out. So that's you keeping your promises to yourself. Because if you can't keep your promises to yourself and trust you, then it's going to be hard for other people to trust you. You take responsibility without spiraling into shame. So people who do not take responsibility, they are victims. They blame everybody else around them. They convince themselves that the situation they're in is because of somebody else. And it's really not true, because you're a grown-ass adult and you make your own decisions. Even if you're influenced subconsciously by that person, you make your own decisions, unless somebody handcuffs you and drags you down to a basement and keeps you there for months at a time with just, no cell phone and water, sourdough bread with water, lukewarm water, dry, moldy, stale sourdough bread with lukewarm water. So you can take responsibility. One of the most empowering things you can do right now is to literally tell yourself that you are responsible for where you're at right now, and it's nobody else's doing but your own. And you are not stuck. You don't have to stay in that house. You don't have to stay in that job. You don't have to stay in that toxic relationship. And I know, email me. If you think you have a really good reason why you have to do those things, I guarantee you there's a way out, and I could think of it for you. You know your values and make choices aligned with them. So first of all, you're not going to make choices that are aligned with your values if you don't know what your values are, or your standards, or your non-negotiables. So this is part of Personal Growth 101. You take a little bit of time and you write down what you are going to value in a relationship. Maybe it's physical fitness, maybe it's faith, or maybe it's financial stewardship. The next one is you can say no without guilt and yes without resentment. I literally was just talking to a client about this. And most of you probably have a hard time saying no without guilt. Now, here's a tip for you. When you can get to a place where you can say no without explaining yourself, you're in a good place. Just say, I can't do it. I'd love to, but I can't do it. Or, if you're being really honest, that sucks. That's a terrible idea. And there's no way that you could even pay me to do that. That's real heartfelt honesty for you. I wasn't always like this, but I can say, you know what? I can't do that tomorrow, period. I can't do that tomorrow, but I can do it on Tuesday. Or, you know what? I wish I had the bandwidth for that, but I really don't. I'm not going to be able to get to that for you. But what I can do is suggest somebody else or suggest another idea or just kind of troubleshoot with them. And you could say yes without resentment. The only reason you're going to say yes is because you're saying it from a place of alignment. You have the bandwidth, you have the resources and the means and the time to be able to do that. And you're not doing it out of guilt or obligation. You're in a good place when you can say it. You don't compare your worth to somebody else, especially on social media. I love the picture of the apple, and there's a mirror, right? And the front side of the apple is clean and shiny. And here's the mirror. Well, the back side of the apple, there's a bite and it's brown and ugly. And that's a good example of what social media is. To your eyes, that person's life looks amazing. But nobody's life is 100% roses and rainbows and unicorns. It's not. My life may look like I have everything together, but I have posted in tears that my heart is broken because I had to take my kids to the airport and they had to go back to Hawaii to visit their dad. I struggle with things. I sometimes feel discouraged and overwhelmed and alone. And I love this analogy of having my blinders up. I have to look straight ahead to the path ahead and my goals. If I take my blinders down and I look to the right or the left, it's overwhelming to think of me doing this by myself, all the things that I'm doing. I feel like I could start sinking. This is why you have to stick with your strategy, your plan, your beliefs, your why. Why are you doing this? That has to be your foundation, because if you have a wobbly foundation, when something to the right or the left of you is having some impact in your life and it's convincing you and influencing you that you really can't do this, then you're going to sink. So I keep my blinders up. I want to only add value to your life. And so if I think sharing a struggle, and I will share struggles with you 100%, it's coming in this podcast. I will share struggles. But I want to make sure that these struggles are going to add value to your life. If I share a struggle with you, I'm going to also share victory. It's so important not to compare yourself to other people. The only person you want to compare yourself with is you. You're the only one who's going to get in your way. You want to compete with yourself. You want to be the better version tomorrow than you were today, and today than you were yesterday. So you treat your body well because it's yours. This is your temple. And it's not invincible. So if you're eating shitty food, you're literally not working out. and you're drinking and doing drugs and sitting on your ass watching TV, that's a mindset thing. There's something going on that you are avoiding, that you have not healed from. And when you face it, when you sit still in silence and you just decide, hey, you know what? The pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. That's when real growth comes, when you can face your demons and when you want to free yourself and become unstuck. You only treat yourself shitty because you feel shitty, right? So you allow yourself to be both a work in progress, I love this, and worthy at the same time. So we will never arrive this side of heaven. You don't have to believe in heaven, but it's just a phrase. We're never going to arrive perfectly. We'll be working on stuff. They'll be letting go of stuff. New stuff will pop up from the past. New stuff will pop up in the future that you will have to deal with. You'll have to face. Maybe you'll get triggered. But you're going to have to face these limiting beliefs, these patterns, and you're going to have to deal with them and let them go. And you know what? This is a pet peeve of mine. I hate the word perfect. People tell me, oh yeah, I'm not perfect. I want to be like, really? I'm so glad that you cleared that up, because for a second there, I was like, wow, I thought you were perfect. Nobody is even nearly perfect. What I always say is the only things that are perfect is God and his creation. I think his creation is beautiful. Like just, the deep sea angler and the cooling pad and the cheetah's brain and the woodpecker has his little soft pad to keep him from bursting his brains out. This creation is absolutely beautiful and perfect. It has rhythm and rhyme and the seasons and the moon and the tide and the stars. Like it makes me emotional thinking about that God thought of everything. So amazing. So that was rabbit trail. We are works in progress, and that is okay. Somebody said to me, well, if you're working on yourself, does that mean you're broken? No, not necessarily. You can be broken and then work on yourself and get a lot of healing and do a lot of work, and you get to a place where you're in a pretty good place, where you're not dealing with these heavy wounds, where you've got your limiting beliefs off the table. And for the most part, you're in a really good place emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally, professionally, physically. And so in my coaching, I teach the 7D method, which is the 7 pillars of your life that I just named. And I help you level up those 7 pillars so that you can have a full, abundant, whole, amazing, kick-ass life. You can design your dream life. You don't have to live life on other people's terms. And so we are all going to be works in progress. Let's get rid of the word perfect and stop telling people you're not perfect. We already know that. Another phrase that would probably be better to use is I'm working on myself. And we're so worthy at the same time. Just because you're broken, it doesn't mean you're unworthy. No, it's just that you're broken because of your childhood. And a lot of people don't know they're broken and they keep themselves in these negative loops. And it isn't until they finally are so desperate for change that they reach out for help. And then they find the healing. So you don't outsource your identity to relationships or achievements or opinions. What that means is you know what your identity is, and you don't leave that up for other people's opinions. You don't look to them for approval, and it doesn't matter what they say or what they think about you. So for me personally, I, for the longest time, did not know what my identity was. And I remember I kept asking God, I don't understand this identity thing. And I love this description of it. So your identity is something that can never be taken from you. So if you are a lawyer, okay, well, you can be fired and you're not a lawyer. Then what's your identity? Or if you're a model and you get into a car wreck and you can't model anymore, God forbid. I don't know why I just said that. You could be a sister and wake up one morning and no longer sister, or a mother or an athlete, whatever it is. All those things, those are not your identity, because all those things can be taken from you. And when you realize that what your real identity is, something that can never be taken from you, it brings you to a place of peace and empowerment and certainty and assurance. So I'm going to get a little bit deep here for a second spiritually, and you don't have to believe this at all. You can just take it with a grain of salt. But we are spiritual beings having human experiences. My identity is I'm a daughter of God, and I have placed my salvation in him. I know where I'm going after I die. There is no doubt whatsoever, and I'm not afraid of death. And I have peace in that. So my identity can never be taken from me. I can stop modeling and acting and being a podcast host and being a life relationship coach. I can stop writing country music. None of that defines me. My identity is in Christ. So that's all I'm going to say for that. And lastly, you work on your personal growth by celebrating little wins even, big or small, without brushing them off. So at the end of every day, one of my routines is reviewing the day, and this takes 3 minutes. I review the day and I said, what kind of wins did I have? Because it's very encouraging to say, wow, I finished that project that I've been putting off forever, or I knocked that thing off my list, or I had that conversation with someone that I've been avoiding, or I didn't eat X, Y, and Z. I was good. I didn't have that drink that I was craving earlier, whatever it is. And then you also can ask yourself what didn't go so well, what didn't serve you. Moving on, what a damaged relationship to self looks like. This is the good stuff, because you will hear this stuff and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's me. And it's really quite simple to deal with all this shit and level the F up. People pleasing. That's number one. The nice guys don't win the girl. And this is why. You're being nice, you're over giving, you're bending over backwards, trying to people please, trying to rescue these hot messes, trying to fix their problems when they don't need you to fix them. They need to figure it out on their own. You're giving them fish instead of trying to teach them how to fish. And so the people pleasing has to stop. And don't think that you're just this extra special, selfless guy because you're a people pleaser. You're not. It's toxic. You're doing it because you're avoiding your own pain and your own healing. You're doing that because you think that you need to earn love, that you need to do things in order to win people's approval. That's bullshit. What needs to happen is you doing kind things from a place of alignment and no longer out of guilt or shame or obligation or fear. And you do it when you have the means to do it. You have the time, you have the resources, you have the money, and you're no longer lending money to people just because they ask you to, right? Over apologizing. I was playing pickleball and this lady kept saying, I'm sorry. Literally every 3 minutes she said, I'm sorry. If the ball would go too far, you could tell them I get riled up about this kind of stuff. You don't have to apologize. You apologize when you hurt someone, when you offend somebody, even on accident, when you hurt someone or offend someone. I might be missing something, but you don't need to apologize just because you feel insecure. That's why you're doing it. And it's a really, really bad habit that needs to be broken. Constantly second guessing yourself. This is a sign of insecurity and a lack of confidence. So you've got to know who you are, what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, what you like, what you don't like. I remember this guy I was coaching and he went out and bought a boat because he thought that he should like boats. And he realized he hated boats, but he was doing it to please other people. And he kept second guessing himself, like, why did I do this? And finally, he learned to set boundaries. He learned what he liked and didn't like. And he picked up tennis. Saying yes when you mean no. This is, again, stems out of insecurity. You feel like you have to say yes or you're going to offend the person. And there's such empowerment when you could say, hey, I would love to, but I really can't right now. And the truth is I'm not going to make the time. But instead people say, I don't have the time. Yeah, you do. You just don't want to. And that's fine. You don't have to tell people why you want what you want or explain yourself to people. Next one is self-sabotage disguised as, I'll start tomorrow. That is bullshit also. We don't need to start tomorrow. We need to start today. Literally right now. When you're done listening to this podcast, I want you to take one thing, one tiny little nugget that I've shared with you and put it into action. I don't care if you go buy a journal and you put a pen next to it, or you lay out your workout outfit for tomorrow. Whatever it is, or you take the huge Hydro flask that's just been sitting over there and you fill it up with water and you say, I'm going to drink 2 of these today instead of a half a one. Whatever it is, baby steps. I used to be a firm believer in taking gigantic leaps and setting gigantic goals, which I always failed because they were way too big for me. And now I'm a firm advocate of baby steps. So we're not going to start tomorrow. You're going to start today with the tiniest little step ever. And that is because it doesn't really have to do with the action. It has to do with the mindset. And yes, action is important, but I want this to get into your mind. Even if you go brush your teeth and at the same time you're listening to an audiobook about wealth building, you're literally not using any extra time listening to the audiobook. This is the next one. People who make excuses. Put the excuses in the trash and stop trying to deceive yourself. People who make excuses sound weak. When you say I don't have the time, you're lying, and I know it, and the people know it. We know you have the time because you make time for what's important, and everybody has the same amount of time. Your job might be 16 hours a day, but you still have time during your commute, during your lunch. Maybe while you're working, you can listen to a podcast or whatever it is. I'm always thinking about podcasts. Oh, maybe because I'm finally launched mine. By the way, it took me over a year and a half to finally get out of my own freaking way and launch this podcast. And I'm telling you, my podcast editor and I, Rachel, just love you, girl. We have been hustling, of course, because I waited to the last minute and I set this big goal that I was going to launch my podcast in 2 weeks. And really, it's been 3 days. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I just found her a few days ago. So no excuses. I was like, I'm not making any more excuses. I decided it would be August 12th, and I'm sticking to that. I don't care what I have to do. So the last one is tolerating disrespect because you think you deserve it. I don't even need to say anything else about that. Okay, 6 ways to start healing the relationship to self. Audit your self-talk. We touched on this a little bit. I'm going to make a rule for you, and I want you to stand by this rule. Don't speak negatively to yourself anymore. Catch yourself whispering in your head those negative comments, and I want you to stop yourself. This is the first step towards growth, and it's really not that hard. But I'm telling you right now, this is your norm. It was my norm to speak negatively to myself, to drink wine every night, to engage with my toxic ex-husband, to raise my voice when I got angry, to get angry when I felt powerless, to talk shit about other people and gossip because it made me feel empowered and it made me feel better because I felt really bad, to lie because I got myself into a situation I shouldn't have gotten myself into. So, side note, before you think about lying, just try not to get yourself in that situation to begin with. I mean, think, if I do this, will I have to lie about it? If you're going to have to lie about it, then maybe you shouldn't do it. And maybe there's another alternative. I believe there's always a way out. And the Bible says that there is always a way out of temptation. And number 2, it also says that the truth always surfaces. So no matter what, no matter if it takes 20 years, the truth will come to the surface. Somebody will find out. And trust me, I know. So if you're not going to say that to your child or your best friend, why would you say it to yourself? That's your filter. Would I say this to my child, even if you don't have a child? Number 2, keep your promises to yourself and build trust by following through every freaking day. Number 3, put your excuses in the trash because they're not good anymore. We're not believing them anymore. Number 4, clarify your values. So there's going to be a space in the PDF where you can write down your values. This is your internal GPS. Without them, other people's priorities are ruining your life. So you have to decide, what do I value in a relationship? Is this person going to add value and peace and energy to your life, or are they just sucking you dry? What you need to do is cut the ties. And then this will be your new norm. You'll stop attracting toxic people. This will be your new norm. Your new norm is going to be having a daily workout routine, eating better food, investing in yourself emotionally and mentally and spiritually. Your new norm is going to be like, I don't say yes out of guilt. My new norm is saying no and not explaining myself. It's wild to think the person I was 10 years ago compared to the person I am now. I am so different. And that is because I let go of my old norm, which was comfortable. My mind wanted to keep me safe, so I stayed there for a long time. I let go of that, and this is what I want for you. Your new norm is not going to be difficult once you step into it, once you make time for it, and you carve it into your day. So you're going to list values down below, the things you want to value, your non-negotiables, honesty, growth, family, spirituality, fitness. And as you become certain with your values, when somebody comes into your life that doesn't align, your spidey senses are going to kick up, whatever you call it. And you're going to say, you know, my gut says we're not aligned. And maybe my past person would have gone for it. But right now, I'm being alert, I'm being aware, and my gut says to pass because this is your new norm. And so that's how you let the wrong ones pass you by because you're no longer attracted to that. You're no longer going to make yourself available to that. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you make yourself available for, and you attract what you think you deserve. You're also going to stop saying yes to things that conflict with your values. You're not going to compromise and you're not going to settle because I'll come over there and kick your ass if you do. Number 4, you're going to set one boundary. I think I might be off with the numbers. One simple, clear boundary, and you're going to stick to it. Let me dive into really quick about boundaries. A boundary is not you telling somebody else how to act or how to treat you. You are powerless over people. You can't make people do stuff. What a boundary is, communicating to the person with words or actions. If you do this, X, Y, and Z, I will do ABC. You're just saying, if you decide to talk to me that way, I'm going to leave. See how that works? So you are in control of yourself. They're in control of them. And the most important thing is you better freaking stand by that boundary. Don't you dare wuss out, because that's just going to be setting you up for the toxic loop that you've been trying to get yourself out of. Forgive yourself. This is so, so important. Forgiveness is key. It affects you spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. So write down your mistakes that you've been punishing yourself for and release them. It's in the past. Seriously, it's time to let it go. Now, if you've hurt somebody else, then maybe you need to make amends. Maybe you need to take the high road and suck it up. You squash your ego and your pride and humble yourself and go to that person. Maybe you need to write them a letter. Maybe they're dead and you need to write them a letter just to get it off your chest and say, hey, I want to take responsibility. Because remember, personal growth is taking responsibility. It's not putting the blame on anybody else. You cannot blame anybody for the situation you're in. It's your fault and only your fault. It's your doing. You allowed that person to do that thing to you. Now, I'm not talking about a child. I'm talking to you adults, right? You allowed that person to do that to you. You allowed them to take advantage of you, walk all over you, use you. You felt powerless, but you weren't powerless. You could have done something. You could have said something, but you were afraid. Is that their fault? No, that's not their fault. And I'm not here to point blame or to judge you. I'm here to help set you free and to help you see what's keeping you stuck. And the only way you change is by being aware of it. And so that's what I'm here, is to give you another perspective and help you see something that maybe you've never seen before, so that you can walk in freedom and wholeness and abundance and all those wonderful things. Okay, lastly, the daily self-connection practice. So 5 minutes a day. Okay, maybe I need to start off with 3 of just being still, maybe putting on meditation music. I just learned to meditate last year. I'm not kidding you. And I do it for 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. You might call me a lightweight. Fine, I'm a lightweight, but at least I'm doing it. And I couldn't even count to 10 without getting distracted. And now I can do it for 5 minutes. You know, becoming an hour-long meditator is not my goal. My goal is to discipline my mind for 5 minutes a day. I'm a creative. I also have ADHD probably. But I also, in the mornings, I light a candle, I make some coffee. I read my Bible. I read a Proverbs a day, and sometimes I'll read other chapters. I journal. I spend 12 minutes a day praying, because there's science-backed research that says spending 12 minutes in prayer a day will rewire your brain. And I need rewiring. So I pray, and not because I have to. The 12 minutes turns into 15, turns into 20 sometimes, because I just get carried away. But I have a process that I take myself through of gratitude and asking God for the things that are heavy on my heart, and asking Him for help in certain areas, and asking Him to bless and help other people. And I pray for my clients, and I pray for my social media platform. You who are listening to this podcast right now, I can't see you physically, but I want you to know that I see you, in the sense where I know you're listening. I know you care about leveling up. I know you want something to give in your life. You want something to be different. You want healing. You want freedom. You want to have better relationships. You want to stop feeling like you are silent and feeling shame and guilt. I was in a really toxic relationship for a long time, where I felt like my fire had been squashed out and that I was in a cage, just withering up and dying. And I wanted somebody to come along and take my hand and say, Anna, there's another way. You don't have to be angry. There's another way. You don't have to drink to feel different. There's another way. And that's why I'm here for you, is I'm telling what I needed to hear 10, 20 years ago. Spending time in prayer, journaling, meditating, being still, saying my mantras. Yep, I have mantras, and they've changed my life, because I changed the way that I believe about myself. You also start the healing relationship to self is getting rid of your limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that limit you. They tell you who you are, who you're not, what you deserve, what you don't deserve. Those limiting beliefs need to be captured on paper or in your mind or said out loud, and they need to be put in the trash today and forevermore. For example, my own limiting belief was, when the church had me get up on stage, it planted the seed of believing that I was cheap and unworthy and I didn't deserve anything. So I literally, in my subconscious, thought, I don't deserve anything good. I need to accept whatever comes my way, even if it's shitty, and I need to be content with it. And I can't ask for more because I don't deserve more. These were beliefs that kept me attracting toxic people and kept me in a really dark, lonely, bad place where I suffered. And I did that to myself. I'm not blaming anybody. And when I finally realized, when a good friend, and I talk about this in the spiritual episode, when a good friend pointed it out to me, she said, you're punishing yourself and you think God's punishing you too. That was the limiting belief that I captured. And I said it out loud. You're right. Like, I've been punishing myself, and I put it in the trash, and it set me free, and it empowered me, and it helped me level up. I was talking to my twin sister, and I said, Lizzie, we're on a journey of growth for the rest of our lives. Imagine we're going up a hill, right? And it's hard. Sometimes personal growth is harder than others, right? Sometimes you're doing really good and you're stoked. And sometimes you hit some roadblocks, and that's okay, because those are opportunities to learn and to grow and to see the things that you need to change. I tell people pain is a message. When trial or tribulation comes into your life, look at it as a message. The universe, God, whoever it is, it's trying to tell you something. Wake up. What needs to give? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to do more of? What do you need to take responsibility for? Who do you need to make amends with? In a nutshell, personal growth is letting go of what doesn't serve you. It's creating sustainable, enjoyable routines that you can do almost without thinking. And I will list all this stuff in details in the PDF. It's structuring your week with intention. For me personally, this is a note on time management, and this has changed my life thanks to my mindset coach. I have 4 work days, 1 errand day, and I don't just run out doing errands whenever they pop up. I'm only getting in my car and running errands on 1 day a week, as much as I can control that. The other days I'm coaching. And 2 days of rest, relaxation, and creativeness, inspiration, where I really dig into my music. I do music every day, but I really spend a long time working on my music and my content for my podcast, my social media, all that kind of stuff, because I need days where I can really just be creative and brainstorm. So to wrap it up, self-relationship is the foundation for everything in personal growth. And when you can trust yourself and forgive yourself and honor your body and make better decisions and follow through with what you say you're going to do, that is the beginning of healing. I want you to pick one of the 6 healing steps and 1 personal growth action to implement for 7 days. So you're doing literally 2 little things today. And I want you to email me if you have a success story, and I will share some of these on the podcast. And I want you, lastly, to help me get this podcast out there. I can't do it without you. So I'm asking you, if this added any value to your life, please subscribe. I'm sure you have a friend who needs the encouragement. Share it and leave me a review. No matter what feedback it is, feedback is a gift. So I don't care if you want to tell me how awful I am. Just leave 5 stars and then tell me how awful I was. And lastly, get some freaking wind in your hair. Go watch my About Me episode. It talks about what the name means. And I want you to push yourself outside your comfort zone. And then in the email and the show notes, if you have a really good story about how you did that, you got some wind in your hair. I'm not talking like physically. I'm talking metaphorically, throwing caution to the wind. Send me an email, because I would love to hear about your wind in your hair moments, and maybe they'll encourage other people. And it's about being bold and living free. And yeah, if you want to roll down the windows and get some wind in your hair, that would be ideal too, because I love it. Thank you so much for your time. It really matters to me that you're here. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with you next week. Aloha. You showing up matters to me. Now get some freaking wind in your hair. And if this helped you, subscribe. If a friend needs to hear it, share it. And leave a review so more people find it.